This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. This was as ugly as Mona Lisa and kind of valuable, too, for the Dolphins. Right, Perk?
Oh, Big O, you didn't want to go into this bye week at 1-4 and riding a 4-game losing streak and everybody bitter and upset and you just lost to the lowly Patriots. No, this is, you know what I like, Big O, is they played some big boy football. You had a 15-play, 80-yard drive. You ran it right down their throat. Jalen Wright, Raheem Mostert, Alec Ingold. You had the nice pass to Tyreek Hill. Like, this is Dolphins football that you have to play without Tua. They finally got it.
What a concept, huh? And by the way, they found Jonnu Smith on the roster. I mean, you know, it's wow. He's on the roster. They could use him now. You know, it was a revelation today on that. And that's where I'll give Chief Bobo a little bit of credit that McDaniel did. He did simplify things.
Yes.
But again, it still took him to the second half, and it took him a while to finally say, okay, I got to stick to the run here, you know, and finally, because he's had moments in his tenure where the run works and then he just abandons it. And you're never going to get a rhythm or ever find out if you got some run blockers if you don't freaking stick to it to find out if you can do it.
Yeah, you know, I asked Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator, during the week, you know, what does it take to get this run game going? And he was saying, you know, it's hard to really stick to it when you're playing from behind all the time and you're playing against the clock. So we did see today that they take that 7-3 lead, and you know they took the 3-0 lead, my fault, and then they go down 7-3. But they were able to stay fairly patient. I was really, really happy with Mike McDaniel and him going back to the run game. Look, and yes, they did still need the video review. Big O, how about this? How about the video review helping out South Florida football against Virginia Tech, Cal, and the Patriots, baby? How about that? How about video helping South Florida survive here? But, you know, yeah, the Dolphins did have to survive that video review, you know, at the end with some blown coverage in the end zone. Screw that. They got physical. They played some big boy football. They remembered that this is a violent, aggressive sport, and they played some football. And Big O, they overcame that long run by Jalen Wright that had the hold on, was it Julian Hill maybe? But they overcame that, and they kept running the ball. And I was very glad to see that kind of determination from Mike McDaniel, not only the offensive line, but from Mike McDaniel that yes, I'm going to keep running the ball because I might not be gaining 5 or 6 yards on every single play, but I'm putting something together here.
Yeah, and you're also occasionally popping some really nice runs, too, at the same time. So keep sticking with it because you will pop some really nice runs because both Jalen and Mostert both were popping runs. By the way, I'm super happy they won, so happy they won. But that rule in the end zone is absolutely bullshit because if you can drag the toe on the sideline, you mean once you land your toes, you have to put the whole foot in? That's a bunch of bullshit, dude. Whatever lands, if it lands and it's 2 feet in and it's just the toes, that should have been a touchdown for New England. That rule needs to be reversed because if you can break the plane of the goal with a football to be a touchdown, if you can drag your second toes in order for it to be a reception or a touchdown, then in that situation, if your toes land in cleanly inside the green and they don't touch the white, that should have been a touchdown, dude. I'm just saying. That's just me.
You know what, Big? I don't even know if I knew that was a rule. I'm like, yeah, I don't know that that's come up very often in my memory banks. And when they said that, I was like, you got the foot down. But I'm not sure that I knew that was a rule.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know either. But now I've learned that, okay, you're inconsistent as hell.
Yeah.
You can't have that a rule and then have the drag toe be legal and have the break of the plane of the goal be legal. These things do not correlate. They do not create consistency, because if you're going to do the plane and you're going to do the drag toe, then that one has to be a touchdown also. I'm sorry. That's just the way it should be. It's bad, but hey, I'll take it. That's fine with me. Tom Brady got a championship on a tuck rule deal, right? So hey,
that's right. Right.
Do whatever happens. We don't control that part. Now again, here's where I'll give the players credit. They fought through a lot of stuff, man, because there were a lot of mistakes made, from whether it's decisions or players not making the right plays and all that kind of stuff. This is one where, I give McDaniel some credit for sticking in that one drive with the run and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I kind of give the players a lot of love for this one win, because I don't think they get a lot of help from the sidelines, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Big O, this is one of those deals where, last year before the Kansas City game, when I wrote that McDaniel should be on the hot seat if he loses this game, and I got buried. I got hammered for that. But his game day coaching leaves a lot to be desired. And, look, he's still a young coach, but he should be over a lot of this stuff that he's done and a lot of the preparation. I mean, look, I know he doesn't coach special teams, Big O, and you know where I'm going with this, but for you to have a missed field goal and a messed up snap on the field goal and a blocked punt, like, this is ridiculous. Have you guys been coached? And some of these penalties that are still coming up on the illegal shifts, and by the way, the special teams, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they have a block in the back that was declined on a return? Yeah. So I mean, you cannot have all of this stuff, whether you have Tua or not. You cannot have all of this stuff. The players, look, I've taken some heavy shots and some heavy swings at this team. But I've always said I respect and admire this player, the players' fighting spirit. These guys don't give up. They know that they have limitations. They don't give up. They keep fighting, and I give them a lot of credit for that. We saw that today. Look, if it was a better team than the Patriots, they probably lose, but screw that. It was the Patriots, and they did win, and they kept on fighting. They kept on running the ball. They kept on trying to make plays defensively. My hat is off to this team and to these players, because, they don't quit. They really don't, Big O. And I have a lot of respect and admiration for the players in that locker room, because, it could have been easy to quit a few times today and a couple of times this season, quite honestly. And during the McDaniel era, right? You had the 5-game losing streak in 2022. You had all the injuries last year. They keep going, and I give them a lot of respect and credit for that.
Well, I think that's because I think you walk into a locker room with a lot of good character dudes. That's why.
Right.
And I think you have a lot of pros, and all of that. But I'll tell you this, with every snap, I know he has to fix his, injury history, and obviously his decision-making, thinking he's Gus Frerotte now, doesn't help, concussing himself here. So he's got to fix that part. But at passing skills, Tua's legend grows with every drive, with every snap, because Mike McDaniel looks more useless every day without Tua. And McDaniel might have been really good. In fact, I'm sure he was really good for Tua's confidence. But I think Tua was better for him when it comes to offense and production and everything else. And I think even with Flo. Flo hates you, didn't want you, tells you that. He starts you against the Rams to set your ass up for failure. And yet you still go 7-3 as a starter. You still throw more touchdowns than interceptions. So in the worst case scenarios, the kid has actually overcome. And I think his legend grows a little bit more now, because McDaniel looks even more inept without his ass.
Well, I will take exception with you there, Big O. Look, Tua in his last, I believe his last 8 games against playoff teams has 8 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Against Buffalo, what is he? 1-6, 1-7, and these kinds of things.
What are the Dolphins against playoff teams in 40 years? Perk, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the coach is, no matter who the general manager is, no matter who the team is, do you think they do well against playoff teams? Or do you think that's the same story that was going on with Tannehill and with everybody else? What do you think?
The difference now is you're better stocked. You should be beating these. Like Philbin and Gase didn't have nearly the talent that Mike McDaniel has. They shouldn't have been beating New England and Baltimore and stuff like this team should. This team was built to win a Super Bowl. Those other teams were built to get a wild card. Hopefully you can beat New England, but this team is different. And that's why I judge this team different. And look, I've hammered on Mike McDaniel. I try not to make it personal and call him an idiot or anything like that. I do like and respect Mike McDaniel. He's a young coach, but I do think that, look, Big O, and I've pointed this out many times, among Mike McDaniel and Tua and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and Raheem Mostert, all of them are terrible against playoff teams. Raheem last year had 1 rushing touchdown against a playoff team. He had a franchise record 18-1 against a playoff team. You know Mike McDaniel doesn't call a good game. You know Tyreek doesn't come through. Tua doesn't come through. I don't cherry pick and say Tua this or McDaniel that. All of them need to come together and figure out a way to beat good teams because they all have culpability here.
Yes, exactly. But that's the way I like to hear it, not where it's just on one guy, because that makes no sense.
Right.
You know, because like I mentioned, okay, so you lose against playoff teams, but did Tua lose the first Kansas City game, or did Tyreek lose the first Kansas City game?
Right. Correct. Right?
Because Tua dropped it right in the breadbasket, a 40-yarder that was points. It would have been either 3 or leading to 7, and he dropped it, and then he had the fumble for the touchdown. So is that on Tua? Is that on Tyreek? A couple years ago in Buffalo, isn't it Tyreek and the other kid dropping back-to-back touchdowns in the end zone? Isn't it Braylon Sanders stopping when it was supposed to be a deep ball? It would have been a touchdown against the Bills. Isn't it? This isn't Tua, but this is all a team thing. Isn't it 2 years ago? You're against Buffalo and your coach doesn't know what fucking down it is. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a team thing. But it's not just a McDaniel and a Tua and a Mostert and whatever thing. It's a Wanstead thing. It's a Philbin thing. It's a Gase thing. It's been all the general managers that have been here. It's been all the head coaches. They all have failed in big moments. They all failed to make the playoffs, Perk. I mean, we were on a roll where we made the playoffs, 2001, 2008, 2016 or so. They were like making playoffs every 8 years and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're talking about a habitual issue that runs deep for all of these teams, dude, for a long time, man. So it's not just one person, it's a disease of many.
It is, but this era, Big O, is different to me. The McDaniel era is different to me because this team was built to win a Super Bowl, right? Flo's teams and Gase's teams and Philbin's teams weren't built to win a Super Bowl. I mean, you hoped, and you hope they could make the playoffs above all. This team making the playoffs should be a given. Should be. It's about advancing and getting to that Super Bowl. Having said all that, I will go back to this. I do still think that this team should and can and will go into December 500-ish. Maybe a game below, maybe right at, I don't know, how many games are left, if there's 7 games left or 6 games left. But yeah, I'm thinking 5 and 6, Big O, at the worst, whatever that number would be. But I don't see, they shouldn't go into December, at like 4 and 7 or anything like that. They still have too much talent for that.
No, I'm with you there. Injury-wise, what do we know? I know HN with the concussion. What else?
Yeah, that's the one that that you're really going to be worried about. Javon Holland also went out, and Elijah Campbell came in for him. So you had Elijah Campbell and Marcus May. So we'll watch that safety situation. I don't know if either or both safeties will be back after the bye. Jordan Poyer missed this game with the shin injury. I think, Big O, that's it. I think they got out of this game in fairly good shape injury-wise.
Okay. All right. Don't feel bad. Jordan Poyer's home with Rachel Bush. That's he's doing well. He's doing well. What do you got going on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Well, you know what? Today I am going to write about this run game and this physical presence that the Dolphins showed. I thought it was really good. I thought it was good that you showed that you can win other than the big play, other than the cutesy timing passing game, that we can roll up our sleeves and play NFL football. And here's the other thing, Big O. This is the kind of football that translates to wins in December and January, right? When you're playing tough teams, when you're on the road, when maybe it's cold weather. If you have a run game that can produce, if you can make that team drop that safety down into the box and face an 8-man front, and now that increases your chances of going over the top to Tyreek or Waddle because each one of them has one-on-one coverage. Well, now you're onto something. Now you're onto building a complete offense that's really, really tough to defend. And that's one thing that I liked about what I saw today. So that's what I'm going to be working on, the column that I'm writing post-game today.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope this leads them to running the ball more and staying with it too at times, because, as a long-time Dolphins fan, there were moments back in the day that you would get frustrated with Shula when they were only getting 2 or 3 yards in a carry, but he would stick to it because once in a while you'll pop it, even though they never really, in the latter half of his career, they didn't have a great running game more often than not in the Marino era. And you would like, all right, enough of that, but he would still do enough of it, to keep people honest. And I would like for McDaniel to do the same, keep people honest. But if you do that in the process, man, you're going to end up having some success, because they've shown time and time again that they can pop some of these runs, but they just don't stick to it long enough. That's the frustrating.
Right. And here's the other good thing about the run game today is, remember, you did this without Jeff Wilson Jr., who was inactive. We know Achane went out with a concussion, and you had the Jalen Wright, Raheem Mostert show. And so you're able to do this with Jeff Wilson, who is your slashing runner, probably your hardest runner, not a power runner, but probably your hardest runner. We'll see what Jalen Wright continues to contribute here. They were running between the tackles today, Big O. And so there's a lot of good to be gained from what we saw today. Hopefully they can build on it.
I'm with you, man. And don't forget, EJD Construction. Call Eric in Dade or Broward County, 305-433-4843. If you're looking for custom home construction and major home remodeling, they are fully insured, liability and workers' comp. 305-433-4843. Been in business for 20 years, man, and earning a AAA plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. Reach out to EJD Construction. Get your home prepared. Get it storm ready all year long, man. EJD Construction. Perk, what are you working on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out right away and subscribe?
Dude, Big O, going into this bye, we're gonna take a look at what the Dolphins need to do post bye to stay afloat and possibly even to surge, Big O. And aside from that, we're all trying to dodge this hurricane, aren't we? I think that's probably going to be our big aim for the bye week. Hopefully, everybody out there stay safe.
I dodge it, and then I can't wait for a St. Elmo steak and shrimp cocktail, baby. I can't wait. That's a beautiful thing. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Perk, and make sure you subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Chris, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
All right,
you got it. There you go. Chris Perkins, our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins postgame report.
This is the Big O Show.